Hello and welcome in this tutorial about After Effects. So in this second part we're gonna take a look at more tools on the software. So first of all we just load a basic image sequence. Let's take this one and we're gonna drag and drop into the green here. So now if we press 0 we're gonna have the full sequence showing up, okay? So very easy stuff I do before, and I'm gonna put this on the tutorial, okay? So what you want to do is you want maybe to increase the speed of a footage. So you can right click here, go on time stretch, press 80, and now you have something more fast. Less time frame and compress. So you're gonna interpolate the image and delete some image before. If it's the other side, so we press Ctrl Z. If we want to put it slower, you're gonna increase the amount of image by copying some image every each time. So that's one of the way to put with the speed. Now we're gonna take a look at some effect here. So we're just gonna right click and go on new and do an adjustment layer. So this layer is a layer to put the effects affecting all the stuff on the bottom. So here on the effect and presets, all the effects here, we have a bunch of effects. So I'm just gonna do a distort effect. Let's do a CC lens. So now as you see, all this is affecting in the lens. So the size of the lens, you can see, is like 500 is nothing, and more we go and more the lens is like effect. So when we press play, the effect's gonna be in all the sequence, you see. So this is one of the type of the effect you can play with, the convergence, stuff like this, okay? So you have a lot of stuff to distort your footage. Here on the distort stuff you have a lot. You have the twirl, see, it's like twisting the stuff. So all this kind of stuff are very visual, can be useful for a lot of purpose. We're gonna work on the pre-composition. So imagine you did an effect here and you want to copy this footage multiple times. So I'm gonna left click, right click, do a pre-compose. The pre-compose here is another composition in the composition. So we're gonna put this as a pre-comp or one, and we have here we can put everything inside and we want to adapt the lap span. So for example the lap span finish at 50 image, so when we press OK the composition now is on 50 image. But what happened to the previous composition, the master one? So if we click here we are into the pre-composition, and here we are in the main composition. So what's happening is, like, if you press tab, you can see like this is the main composition, including this one. If for example I do another one here, it's gonna call A38, and I put the A38 on the A37. Basically, when I press tab now, I have two compositions inside the A37, the pre-comp one and the pre-comp A38. Now if we size it, we can have multiple times the same effect. You see, we can duplicate the pre-comp with Ctrl D, and now having multiple comp here. So when we press play, we are all the same effect. But we can maybe offset one or use the time of one so they don't come at the same time, you see. But inside is the same stuff. So if here in my control effect I do something like a color correction at the exposure very high, it means all the renders now have the composition very high, except this one, the L38, because it's not the pre-comp, you see. This is the pre-comp. So it's the same image sequence, but there is not this treatment on this pre-comp. So when you have the three together, you can see the exposure only on those three, but they're affecting all of them. So it's pretty cool to win some time if you use the same sequence over and over again, and you want to do one treatment, but maybe play with multiple sequences like this, or maybe play them back to back and do some effects. So make sure you understand what's happening in the pre-comp. This is the master comp L38, and you have the pre-comp with one effect, and on the side another pre-comp here. If you remove this footage, all those pre-comp gonna lose the image sequence, and you can't really work anymore on this. It's gonna be a logo, so we're just gonna press delete here. You see, so it's used in two compositions, so now it's like inside there is no more the composition. I put this, they come back. Okay, that's the way to play with that. So we're just gonna back in the pre-comp, remove the exposure effect, and now we have the stuff from the basic. Okay, so this is one of the way to play with the pre-composition. It's literally a sub part of the video with all the type of effect, all the type of stuff, and you can duplicate this, copy paste, maybe sequence this on each other. Like if I have one pre-comp here and I want to have another one after, just here, and another one after here, another one after here. Now I have this coming like this, you see? So this is a kind of way to use the pre-composition. It is pretty important. So for the mask, let's just back to a new project and play with a bit with the mask, like we play with the mask in Photoshop. So we here, new project, we take an image sequence, and if you don't have an image sequence, or for any reason you don't have the content I give you, you can just load any type of video. Okay, so let's go in videos here. Maybe I have some videos from previous course. I'm gonna take the Maya course I did here and take this one. Okay, so here I have a video of me doing the lipstick stuff. So in this video, maybe we want to just have this part visible. So we're gonna, here we have multiple, if you left click and right, left click and stay on the stuff, you're gonna see multiple type of tool for selection. You can do like rectangle tool, you see, like this. You can also do like a rounded tool or like an ellipse tool. Okay, so if you see here the three masks, so you can see the yellow, the blue and the purple and the pink, they're all on add. So that means what is inside the mask is going to be added in the selection. You can invert this and have, so if I just remove them, invert both, I only have the one I was thinking, so all the exterior of this, right? Makes sense. As well, this one can be a subtraction, this one can be an intersection, so you have multiple way of playing with the mask. You can say none if you don't want the mask to appear. Okay, there is no more mask. Here is on add, so you're just gonna add the selection, subtract, you're gonna remove from the selection, intersect from the other mask and stuff like this. So this is about masking. Let's just take the first one in add, and now let's go on the triangle here, and you can see the feather. So you see you can smoothly blur the surface of the mask, the contour. You have the opacity and you have the expansion. Maybe you want this to more expand, more soft. So that's it. That's really useful for the mask. You can as well do, so let's delete those three masks and just do a pen mask. So we can do very high hand. Now, so now it's doing a shape layer. So why is doing a shape layer and not a mask is because I was not selecting the footage. If I select the footage and do this, now it's in the mask. If I'm outside the footage, you're gonna just create a shape you can maybe use for other stuff like Can be as well for masking, can be for any type of effect, but it's a different way. So now we have this potato here. You can see this mask. We can also play with the feather and stuff, and in this mask you can have something called the tangent here, and you can play with the tangent to have something more smooth in the transition depending of what you're looking for. Okay, so now we're gonna just take a look at the animation. So this software is mainly done for animation purpose. You want to animate stuff during time. So imagine here you have the scale at 100 and you want this over the time of the video. So let's just take this little side of the video. On this part of the video, we want the footage to downscale over time. So basically what we do here is we go here, we go in transform, and there is the scale here. And what we're going to do is press something on the chrono. So the chrono, is very important in After Effects. This is where you can start to put keys and play with animation. So you do a key here, a key later, saying I want the scale to be at 0. So now there is 2 keys, and in between the footage is from, I want this to be at 0. So over time the surf is decreasing to 0, you see? So what happening is like the chrono is gonna say at this exact time this is at 100, at this exact time this is at 0. So in between we're gonna create like a curve of keys saying from 100 to 0 to 100, and in between do every side step frame gonna be transitions point to like reduce the scale. If you say, for example, you want this video to start here and finish here, so you are in this position at the frame here 0, and at the last frame you go all over the side. So let's say you're here, you go here, and now you can see during the process is going to the right. So if I press 0 and I run there,
in this tutorial in Maya 2022.
now you have something going from left to right to the stuff. Sorry for the sound, I'm just gonna remove. So now we have a video going from left to right with the key. First key 100% of the frame on the left, and key here right, key here downside. So basically this is what's gonna happen with this footage. It's like it's gonna be treated with the keys. If for example this key start here and this key start here, at the beginning nothing happened, and after the key start now we're moving. So keying is a really important concept when you animate stuff in After Effects. Like imagine I'm gonna go here, do an ellipse, I do a round like this, and I want this. So same, I press S for scale, and I want at this frame to be at 100%, at this frame to be at 0, and now in between the scale is moving. As you see, it's scaling where? It's scaling to the pivot point. So the pivot point is this point. You can move it with this band behind. So this is to move the pivot point, okay? So now when you're gonna scale on the pivot point here. If I put the pivot point far here, you're gonna scale to the pivot point, okay? So this is like the pivot point in Maya. It descends the center of the universe of your object. Really important, okay? So pivot point can be moved here. When you like this, you're just moving the pivot point. You can be here clicking on the vacuum, but if you're here and you click here, you can drag it and move it where you want, okay? and come back to the selection mode to just select whatever you need. Same for the position, you press P, access to position. If you don't see it, you got the triangle, here you have everything on the transform. Position here, and on the left, here, see? That's the way to do the transition, okay? So this is for the keying. Here there is multiple stuff about the keying. So here the composition money flat. So here is what I would do when I was putting tab. Here is all the hidden elements. So sometimes you want to hide some parameters, and this is a way to like put them on hide or switch them, okay? Here it's for the motion blur of the layer. It's gonna allow you to do some motion blur during the process of the move. So if you're here and you press F1, no, F5, oops, here you can see there is, so all the way, F4. So if you press F4 on your keyboard, you can switch from the fusion mode and the parent link to like the motion blur, the mask, and the hidden mode. So now when this is moving with a motion blur, because it's trying to interpret this in motion, and you're gonna blur the intercourse of the image. Here is the hidden mode, so if you select this and you go here, you're gonna hide all the stuff with this parameter on. If it's off and you press here, it's not disappearing, okay? That's just a way to organize the image and play with, like, maybe you want to have some effects hidden and you don't want to show this for your next step because maybe you repeat 10 times and they're taking space. You can just hide it here, okay? So you press F4 to switch. And here is the graph editor. So we can see here about the scale, it's going on the right and the left. If you press this now, you see something very different. You see a curve, you see where it's happening on the side. So a really different point of view here about your stuff. So let's see if I can find them, sorry. So you know, it's just a graph to edit the graph of your images. You can go back and look here and you see the point here, okay? So I think that's all we're gonna cover on this video. I'm gonna do another video about rendering, putting the image together,